This is a sample biology lesson. I was asked to do it for an interview, so I went ahead and I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. Hello, everyone, and today we're going to be talking about what is biology and giving a basic introduction to the study of biology. First of all, we're going to start with an activity. This activity will be checking out 3 living things, and we're going to compare what are their differences. Do they have similarities? What are they? All right, so I have my mom here, and I'm going to ask her to do this basic activity. Okay, Mom, so here's what I've got here. I've got a whole different variety of organisms, and I want you to just take a look at them and look at them and see and try and find the bugs if when it comes to the bugs. But I've also got a mushroom and a piece of moss here. You can touch them, I guess smell them if you want. But I also have 2 boxes of lacewings. These are green lacewings, and this is a brown lacewing here.
Where is it?
They should be on the top.
Oh.
Do you see them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are lacewings. And there's also a lacewing on the top in there. He's kind of hard to see, but he's on the top, so you might want to look from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then in here, there's a little jumping spider. She might be harder to find.
Here?
Yeah. Inside of it.
Okay. Maybe it's over here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see it up there on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a thing full of 2. There's 2 things in there. Those are mesquite beans and bruchid beetles. You may need to open it looking down the bottom to see. Or you can see the beetles if they're crawling around. I didn't know. Oh, yep, they are. And then there's also strawberry, which I handed to you. So the question I have for you, Mom, is what are things that these things share in common, and what are some differences that each of them have?
Well, they're all living.
They're all living, yeah. What about some differences between them? Are they all the same?
No.
No.
They are. Some are edible, some are not. Some are animal. Well, it's not really an animal.
I mean, yeah, it is.
A creature.
An animal. I mean, the bugs are animals.
They are.
And so are the spiders. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So some are animals.
They don't. I guess I always think that bugs are a different type of species or something than a mammal.
Yeah, they are animals. They're just not. They're not mammals. They're not. And they're also not vertebrates. They don't have a vertebrae.
Then this is a plant.
Yeah, the moss is a plant.
And this is a plant.
Well, technically, no. The mushroom is not a plant. It's a fungus.
Oh.
So there's some differences in how the cells are designed inside of how the cells work in a mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the same type of cell wall, but they do have one.
This is a fruit.
Yeah, which would be a plant.
But
yeah.
Also, you could eat it. This mushroom, some you can eat, some you can't.
Yeah. I guess moss, if you wanted...
I don't know if I would eat moss.
I guess if you wanted, you probably could eat the bugs too. But yeah. I don't know how good they taste. And you can eat this stuff. You can make it into a flour. Yeah. Well, overall, the idea I wanted to kind of showcase here was that you recognize and see all these things as living organisms. Would you say that's true?
Yeah.
And so whatever we use to define life is a very broad category, because somehow it has to fit this and this and that and that and that and that and that. So it's a very broad category. And that's kind of what my lesson today will be going over. So
Okay.
let's ask this question. Which of these infections is alive? I'm going to describe two scenarios to you, and I want you guys to tell me which of these two infections is alive. First off, we have a viral infection. In this case, Myrmica spatulata, an ant, is a worker and it has a bunch of late instar larvae which are infected by a virus called Dystroviridae that turns the larvae black. The larvae are likely dead. Another case is a fungal infection. Here we have a spider, a long-jawed orb weaver specifically, that's been affected by an arthropod-killing fungus, Ophiocordyceps. The spider is also dead in this case. Now, which of these two infections could we consider to be alive? What do you think? On the one hand, we have the viral infection. On the other, we have the fungal infection. The answer to this question would be, of course, the fungal infection, because, as we'll find out later, a fungus is a living organism, and a virus is not. But with that being said, let's start off by talking about biology and give ourselves a basic background. We're going to start out with definitions and how we understand the word biology, and then we'll get into the science of it. So, you have likely heard the word biology before, but do you know where it comes from? That's the next question. Do you know, Chuckles? Do you know what the word for biology means? Minnie, do you know what biology is? I do not know where the word biology comes from. All right, I have another question for you, Mon. Do you know where the word biology comes from?
No.
Okay, do you know, if you had to guess, like think about where does it come from? Do you know what it means?
The study
of life.
Bio.
Yeah,
like
life.
Bio,
like bio. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
When you think of bio, what do you think of? Like
living things.
Yeah.
Biologic. Yeah, I don't know. I just think of life.
Life, yeah. Yeah, so bio and logi. Does anything stand out about these words? Do any of you guys know where the root of biology comes from? The word biology is actually a Greek compound conjugate word, meaning it is built up of different separate Greek words into one larger compound word, and it is conjugated into English. Those Greek words specifically are bios, ho, logos. Or, to translate those for you, life, the word. Put in a more readable order would be the word on life. Or, the study of life. Biology being the study of life. Biology is actually a Greek word. So it comes from the word bios, means life, where the and then logos means word. And when we tie together, biology is the word on something, so that's how we get the study of, and then bios is life, so the study of life. So, yeah. Biology contains a lot of sciences. Underneath it, including but not limited to, entomology, which is the study of insects, zoology, which is the study of animals, botany, the study of plants, mycology, which is the study of mushrooms, ichthyology, the study of fish, mammalogy, which is the study of mammals, microbiology, which is the study of microscopic organisms, but it also contains genetics, the study of what makes us who we are and where we come from, sort of, to some extent. Genetics basically looks at what are the ins and outs of the different parts of our body. Molecular biology, which investigates the molecules, proteins, as well as the genes that make up and DNA that make up who we are. Biochemistry, the chemistry that is involved with our bodies and life, and the chemistry it produces, even when it's left behind. Evolutionary biology, which is the study of how organisms or animals change over time and adapt to different environments and conditions. Ethology, which is the study of behavior of animals or plants. Morphology, which is the study of how organisms look. It could also refer to other things, but in the case of biology, morphology refers to how an organism is structured. We also consider virology and epidemiology to be part of biology, even though we don't consider viruses to be living, because they require living organisms to interact. And also ecology. There are many other disciplines, including environmental law and all sorts of things that are involved with biology. It impacts various things of our life, including writing, poetry, the way that we live our lives, what is in the air we breathe has to do with biology. But this is just an example of some of the things that we're going over today and some of the things that biology contains. For those of you who want buffer points, aka some extra bonus points that you could use if you're worried about a test or an exam, a challenge you can do and bring to me by tomorrow is I want you to do an etymological study of one of these sciences we mentioned above. This presentation will be available for you guys to look at, and you can choose one of these sciences and look at where does the root of this word come from. Again, I want that by tomorrow. If you want to do that, it's optional. You don't have to do it. It won't affect your grade. It can only improve it. Moving on from that, we're now going to get into really what biology is. And by doing that, we're going to ask, what is alive? What is alive? That's a good question to ask. There are 7 characteristics of life that we use in biology to determine if something is alive or not. First of all, we look at its organization. Is it structurally composed of one or more cells? Cells are the organizational unit that we use to refer to life, but organization broadly refers to is the organism composed in small sections or divisible things that we call cells. Does it have a metabolism? Can it process and consume energy to sustain the life functions it has on its own, or broadly with the help of another organism? But essentially, if given something that it consumes, can it consume that energy and sustain its life functions on its own? Homeostasis. Is it able to regulate the internal conditions, like the temperature, pH of its body, to maintain a stable state? Growth. Is it able to increase in size and mature over time? Is the organism able to produce new organisms? We call this reproduction. This can happen either sexually with 2 opposite sex organisms that reproduce together, or asexually, where one organism basically divides off to produce another. Can it respond to outside stimuli? For example, being touched, the temperature changing, the chemical components of the area around it changing. This is what we pick up when we smell. Do these changes affect the organism, and will it respond to those? Adaptation and evolution. Can the organism change over generations to better survive in the environment? So let's go back to our earlier example, and using these categories, we're going to ask that same question again. What is alive? The example from before. The viral infection. Now, we said this wasn't alive. Let's talk about why. A viral infection is composed of a virus. So what's actually killing the dead larva here is a virus. A virus is not composed of cells. It, to some extent, can process and consume energy, but it requires another organism to do so. So that's why I have that highlighted in orange. It cannot maintain homeostasis, so it can't maintain the internal conditions of its body, like temperature or pH, to maintain stability within its structure in itself. It cannot grow. A virus, once it is created, stays that size until it finds another cell and then it falls apart. It can reproduce, but it requires other organisms to do so. And so that one could also be considered questionable. And it does respond to stimuli. When a virus interacts with the right kind of cell, it will invade that cell and produce more viruses. Can it adapt and evolve? Yes, the answer is yes to this. We use phages and other organisms, well, not organisms, but other viruses to actually treat bacterial infections because of their ability to adapt and change to the environment that they are in or the host that they infect. However, let's go to the other example, the fungal infection. Now, I told you earlier that this fungal infection is in fact a living thing. The fungus inside, that is, not the dead spider, who was a living thing and now is not. So let's look at this fungal infection. It does have a structure, an organization built up of cells. These cells compose the fungus that is infecting the organism. It has the ability to process and consume energy from decomposing the spider, and it sustains its life functions. It maintains homeostasis, the internal conditions required to thrive and produce fruit. You see the fruiting bodies on the bottom of the spider there. It can grow. It spreads across the organism, especially as it takes it over. And even now it will spread across the organism as it consumes it. Reproduction, it have the ability to reproduce. You can see the fruiting bodies down here at the bottom of the spider. And response to stimuli. If something touches the organism, it will release the spores, and if it senses another organism that may be affected or that the fungus uses as a host, it will drop into that organism because it has the ability to respond to stimuli. Can it adapt and evolve? Yes. As spiders and other organisms change, so do the fungi that infect them. So, with that being said, I'm going to give you guys an assignment. You're going to fill out this checklist that is entitled A Life Worth Living. I'm going to pass it out, and you guys will first work on it individually, and then you can partner up with somebody. And I want you to turn this in either by the end of the day today or tomorrow. And in that checklist, you're going to go through 6 organisms, and you're going to tell me, are they participating in some form of organization? Do they maintain homeostasis? Do they have a metabolism? Do they grow? Do they reproduce? Do they respond to stimuli? And do they adapt to the environment? So you guys, I want you to work on that worksheet and turn in that by next class, ideally by the end of this class. And if we all finish in time, we will talk about it. But before class ends, I'm going to quickly go over one thing that you can bring home and talk to your family about for today's family connection. So, for today's family connection, one thing you guys can go home and talk to your family about is, do you think artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, Gemini, any other of the artificial intelligence models that you know of, fit the characteristics to be considered a living organism? Now, we can talk about that in class here for the next couple of minutes before we leave, and I will open it to discussion in a minute here. But what I want you to do, if you'd like to utilize this family connection, is I'd like you to take the list that you've been provided and show the list to your family and ask them, do you think artificial intelligence fulfills any of these points that we consider things to be alive? I would encourage you to think more broadly about this instead of something being organized in the form of cells, because cells themselves are a way for us to understand and interpret organization. I want you to consider, is it broadly considered true or broadly considered false? And I think that you guys will all have different opinions on this issue, but I want to see what you guys and your families think in regards to, is artificial intelligence considered alive according to these outlined characteristics that we give to a living organism. But let me open it up to you guys. What do you think? Is artificial intelligence alive or not? I'm Josiah Kilburn, and this is Army of Insects. And as always, stay buggin'.